Welcome back to Mom and Pop Video Shop, and happy holidays from your humble clerks, Tyson and Joel.
He almost forgot my name.
I was trying to think of the whole. I already made the Noel joke a couple videos ago.
You're trying to come up with something else. Well, it also rhymes. Yeah. Funnily enough, it also rhymes with asshole.
It does. Ask Joel.
Ask Joel. That's good. You're such an ass, Joel.
I like it. Yeah. So we are gathered here today in this Yuletide season for yet another holiday horror review, and I'm going to be covering one from 1984.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, you've made it through Halloween. Now, try to survive Christmas. It's 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night. I would argue that while, in my humble opinion, this is not the greatest Christmas horror movie out there, it is probably the most memorable Christmas horror movie poster. I can remember seeing this as a kid every single time I would walk into the horror section at my local mom and pop video shop. But I was always too scared to rent this for whatever reason. And for whatever reason, I always associated this movie poster with the horrible Phoebe Cates story that she tells in Gremlins about her dad crawling down the chimney and dying. I realize that if you haven't seen Gremlins, that's probably a massive spoiler alert. But come on, if you're watching this channel, I think you've probably seen Gremlins. But at any rate, Silent Night, Deadly Night is the heartwarming story about a young man who, small child, visits his grandfather at an insane asylum, and the grandfather basically scares the shit out of the child and says, look, you know about Santa Claus, right? If you're bad, he punishes you. So that very same night, young Billy witnesses his mother and father brutally murdered by somebody in a Santa outfit. And as you might imagine, he then, for the next 10 years, is incredibly disturbed until I would say probably when he's 18. He gets a part-time job at sort of the local retail five and dime type store, and the boss asks if he will play Santa Claus. And folks, let's just say that that's a trigger for young Billy, and murder ensues. Now, when it comes to the murders and all the horrific things you see in this movie, I will warn you that if you watch the trailer, specifically the one that's on IMDb, you pretty much get to see every single kill that's in the movie. And I will come out and say it now. This is not my favorite Christmas horror movie by any stretch. Now, at the time, it got a pretty horrible rap. I mean, I think, and Joel, I'm sure will chime in here in just a second, but I think this was one of those movies that there was all sorts of protests. I can't remember how long it was out at the box offices, but I'm pretty sure that it got pulled because of all the parents complaining about it. I suppose that for 1984, it was a little extreme. I will tell you that maybe it's just me and things that I watch and things that I've experienced in life, but I don't think any of it is necessarily all that bad, especially with the kills. Now, sex, nudity. Linnea Quigley has a fairly memorable scene in this, and as you might guess, Linnea Quigley is not 100% fully clothed in her scene. So when it comes to nudity, it was definitely on the hard R side. But again, the gore and that type of stuff really never bothered me. I think what gave this movie such a bad rap was the idea of Santa Claus being a murderer. But even then, it's not like it's Saint Nick that's crazy. It's clearly somebody just in a Santa outfit. So the good news is, if I'm not mistaken, I think the runtime on this is pretty short. So if you get into it and you end up hating it, I don't think you're going to be tied up for more than 90 minutes. I'm trying to look at IMDb and give you the exact runtime right now. At any rate, though, it's not that long a movie, so that's probably a good thing. Everything other than the stuff at the beginning, sort of the main murder, and then a little in-between part where Billy's still a kid and you realize that he's kind of messed up. Most of the actual killing spree only takes place in one night, so there's not a lot of fat once you get to that part of the movie, which is probably cool. As far as cast goes, I guess I should do director and all that kind of stuff too. So it was directed by Charles E. Seller Jr., written by Paul Caney and Michael Hickey, stars Lillian Chauvin, and I could have sworn that I recognized her from something. She wasn't in anything major, but she plays Mother Superior, one of the nuns in sort of the orphanage that Billy grows up in. But she had a couple bit parts in like Predator 2. And I want to say I recognized her from Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Rest of the cast, Tony Nero plays Pamela, and then Robert Brian Wilson is Billy as the 18-year-old psychopath. I already mentioned Linnea Quigley. Will Hare plays Crazy Grandpa. And then the only other guy that was familiar to me, and I need to see what he was in, was Britt Leach, who plays Mr. Sims. He's basically the owner of the little 5 and dime store that Billy works at. I'm pulling his IMDb up right now because it's going to drive me nuts if I don't see exactly what I recognize him from. This was what was driving me nuts. Britt Leach. I knew I recognized him from something else that I've seen 100 times, and it happens to be The Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd. He, I believe, plays, I think he's the guy that gets struck by lightning, right? Reg, yeah. 66 times. I think it was 66 times that he got struck by lightning with the white hair. So anyway, here's the thing. As far as the tape review goes, I'll just get it out there. It's like a Band-Aid. I'm going to rip it off. How many tapes would I give Silent Night, Deadly Night? If I'm being honest, this is probably a 2 taper for me. I would rent it, watch it, wouldn't rush back to the store, but I would definitely go back the next day and look for another killer Santa Claus film, because I think I went into this because of the infamy that this movie had. I was expecting all kinds of over-the-top, insane gore, almost like I was expecting Pieces set during the holidays, and that's certainly not what you get with this, in my opinion. So, Joel, do you have any thoughts on Silent Night, Deadly Night?
First off, I'm shocked because I thought this would be your favorite movie that we covered today.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, totally thought it was, yeah. I will say, for me, it's actually a 3-taper. Okay. I haven't watched it in a while. I do own it. I also figured it would have affected you on some level just because all the Catholicism stuff in it, right? There's all the nuns and I just figured, even though I wasn't raised Catholic, this is the kind of movie I would see as a kid and just assued like this is what it was like to be Catholic.
That's how it,
yeah, that's totally what it's like to be Catholic.
I was never a resident at a Catholic orphanage, so maybe that's why it doesn't.
Maybe that's the difference.
So no, I'm much more affected by like The Exorcist and that when it comes to Catholic horror. Yeah, I'm just saying that if you go to your local mom and pop video shop and you rent Silent Night, Deadly Night, throw a couple of additional Christmas horror selections into the basket with you before you head home.
Yep, agreed.
So anything else on this?
That's it.
We wrap it up. All right.
Yep.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us for this review of Silent Night, Deadly Night. And remember, at Mom and Pop's, our love of...
one of those you have to add when you go to the rental store, like you said. Of course. Mm-hmm. Is the Tales from the Crypt from 1972, specifically because of And All Through the House, which is amazing. And so is the remake of that. Robert Zemeckis remade it for the Tales from the Crypt TV show in I think it's the very first season, I think maybe the very first episode of the very first season, if memory serves. I'm pulling that out of my butt. So
and who played the Santa in that one?
Larry Drake, Dr.
Larry
Giggles.
Drake. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So yes. Tales from the Crypt, 1972.
Always. 100% agree.